So here's how it started. Something small, but weird. Last week I was packing up the final boxes of my mom's things from her old apartment. She passed away from cancer a few months ago. I won't get into all that now, but it's been rough. Anyway, I'm there, doing this really emotional, heavy task, and Caden, my husband, just walks in and goes, "Wow, you still have boxes?" He kinda laughed, but it wasn't really a joke. I just looked at him. He started moving my mom's books out of the way like they were a nuisance. That's when I really noticed it. He's been off. Not just lately, but worse than usual. It's been around 3 months since she passed. Feels like forever, and also like it just happened. She was basically my only close family. My dad's still around, but kind of absorbed into his new wife's family. I always feel like a guest in their world, not someone who really belongs. Caden's family? Local, but also their own chaos. So it's been just me, Caden, and our 4-year-old daughter. I've been barely keeping it together, handling my kid, managing leftover medical bills, storage, paperwork, grief, all of it. There's no big dramatic moment, just a slow, exhausting unraveling. And through it all, Caden's been acting like I'm the problem. Like I'm a burden. At first I thought maybe I was imagining things or just too sensitive. But then he says things that hit so sharply I realize it's not just me. Like yesterday, I was unloading groceries, just quiet, lost in my thoughts. And he walks in, grabs a drink, lets out this huge sigh and says, "I miss when you were fun." Not as a joke, just dropped it like a fact. What do you even say to that? Sorry I'm not a ray of sunshine while grieving my mom. He's been going out more too. Doesn't even pretend anymore. Just says he needs to clear his head or hang with the guys. Then I see him on Beale at some bar while I'm home folding laundry, eating cereal with our daughter. One night he said he was going to help Sylvia, some friend from the gym. I asked if he'd be back in time for bedtime. He just shrugged. Cool. And then last night, that's when everything really blew up. Our daughter had a meltdown before bed. She's been super clingy lately and I get it. So she's crying and Caden tells her to stop. Obviously that didn't work. I took her to the other room, did the whole song and story thing, got her calmed down. When I came back, he was on the couch watching TikToks on full blast like nothing had happened. I asked if he could at least start the dishwasher. He rolled his eyes and said I was being bossy again. I snapped. Told him I'm doing everything alone and I need help. And he goes, "You're not the only one who lost someone. At least I'm not making everyone miserable over it." I just stared at him. He barely even talked to my mom. But somehow I'm the one bringing the house down on purpose? I locked myself in the bathroom to cry for a minute. Needed a second to breathe where my daughter couldn't see me like that. Less than 5 minutes later, he's pounding on the door. Not knocking, slamming, saying I'm being selfish, hiding, dragging things out. That I should stop mourning someone who's not coming back. I told him to leave me alone. He didn't. Our daughter started crying again from all the noise and I just had it. I came out, told him if I was so unbearable, maybe he should go out again. He said, "Maybe I will, I never get a break." I said, "Do you think I do?" He didn't answer. Just grabbed his jacket, slammed the door so hard a frame fell off the hallway wall. I taped it back up because I literally couldn't deal with broken glass on top of everything else. I stayed on the couch with my daughter, let her watch Bluey until she fell asleep. Texted Caden to ask when he'd be home. Nothing. Called once, straight to voicemail. He didn't get back until after 2 a.m. I know because I checked my phone when I heard the door. He stomped around in the kitchen, opened the fridge a few times for no reason, then banged on the bedroom door. I cracked it open, and he looked at me like I was the problem. Told me I needed to stop being dramatic in front of our daughter, that he's tired of walking on eggshells. I told him I'm tired too. He started saying something else, but I shut the door in his face. He muttered for a bit, then went to the guest room. This morning, our daughter crawled into bed with me and asked where Daddy was. I said he was sleeping. She asked if he was mad. What do you even say to that? I got her ready, packed her snack, started the coffee, and saw a note on the fridge. Like, a physical note. He never does that. It said, "Needs space. Maybe you should take some too." No apology, nothing else. I texted him to ask who's picking up our daughter. No response. Called, he ignored it. 2 hours later, he finally texts back, "Busy, figure it out. I don't really have anyone else to ask. My dad's out of town, Caden's family is complicated, and all my friends work. So yeah, I figured it out." Again, called my dad. Not that he's much help. But he said maybe Caden just needs to process things his own way. Suggested I give it a week. Honestly, I don't know if I have another week in me. I keep telling myself not to escalate things. But what does that even mean? Am I just supposed to keep pretending this is all normal? All day I felt stuck in this loop. Furious 1 minute, then completely numb. I kept thinking about that bathroom door moment. Like, was I really being selfish? Is it too much to just want a moment alone? I feel like I'm losing it. And yeah, I keep checking my phone like maybe, just maybe, he'll text and apologize. But nothing. Tonight, when he finally came home, I tried to talk. I said we needed to figure out a plan, maybe get help, talk to someone, something. He barely acknowledged me, just walked past, eyes glued to his phone, and headed straight to the shower. When he came out, I calmly asked him if he could stop slamming doors or yelling in front of our daughter. And he said, maybe if you acted like a real wife instead of a walking funeral, I wouldn't have to. I slapped him. I didn't even think. I just broke. He stared at me, then shoved past me and started packing a bag. I asked where he was going, and he said he's done, that I can figure things out on my own since I clearly like being alone so much. Then he left the door wide open behind him. And yeah, the neighbors definitely heard everything. I saw Bernice in the hallway giving me that look when I went to close the door. Now I'm here. My daughter's finally asleep. I'm just sitting on the couch, staring at the empty spot where his shoes used to be. Part of me wants to call him. Part of me wants to toss all his stuff out the window. I'm exhausted from always being the one holding this whole mess together. Is this what my life has become? Walking on eggshells? Apologizing for grieving my own mother? Anyway, sorry for the emotional dump. I just needed to get this out somewhere. If anyone has advice, or even just agrees that this is not okay, I'm listening. I know I'm not perfect, but I don't think I deserve to be treated like this. First update. I didn't expect to be back this soon, but last night, I still feel like I'm shaking. I need to write it out before I implode. So, I came home after dropping our daughter off at daycare, and the trash was still sitting by the door. Caden always complains when I forget, so I figured I'd see if he'd finally take initiative. Nope. Walked right past it like it didn't even exist. Our daughter was in a mood all morning. She asked where her dad was. Again. And I'm just so tired of covering for him. Daddy's tired. Daddy's busy. She's 4, not clueless. I tried to power through the day. Work calls, more paperwork about my mom, the constant clinginess. I texted Caden asking if he could pick her up. He left me on red. For 2 hours, I kept refreshing the screen like an idiot, knowing full well I'd have to leave work early, again. When I got to daycare, even her teacher, Stephanie, who's nice but always kind of judging me, asked if things were okay at home. Not in a rude way, more like gentle concern. Apparently my daughter told her, Daddy slammed the door and made Mommy sad. I just said it's been tough since my mom passed. Stephanie nodded like she got it, but also like she thinks I'm hanging on by a thread. Which fair. We got home. No Caden. No text. No call. Just a sticky note on the table. Taking time for myself. Cool. So I made dinner. Mac and cheese and some cucumbers. It's all I had energy for. We were halfway through an episode of Bluey when he finally walked in. Didn't say a word. Went straight to the shower. Our daughter ran to him, arms wide open. He gave her a half-hearted pat on the head and said, I'm tired. She looked up at me like she'd done something wrong. My chest hurt watching that. But I just told her, Daddy needs quiet, and distracted her with crayons. He came out of the shower in sweats, grabbed his phone and sat at the table scrolling like we didn't exist. I asked if he could help with bedtime. He shrugged. I said, Can you at least put her pajamas on? He groaned, got up, did it. But I heard him sighing dramatically the whole time. She asked for a story. He said, Not tonight. Mommy will do it. She cried. He left the room and went right back to his phone. And I swear, I'm not exaggerating. He spent the next hour on Insta and TikTok with earbuds in, like we weren't even there. After I got her to sleep, I came out and tried again. I told him, You can't just check out like this. She needs you. He looked up and said, I need me too. I'm not going to destroy myself just to make you feel better. I said, This isn't about me. It's about being a parent. He shook his head and said, You always make it about you. And in that moment, I realized he doesn't hear me anymore. I grabbed my things and went to the bedroom to breathe, and then his phone lit up, and I saw a message. Shouldn't have. But I glanced at it, something from a Bernice, his cousin's wife. But they don't even talk usually about hanging out Friday and hope you're okay. I asked him about it and he just snatched his phone, said I'm paranoid, and stormed out to the balcony. I followed, and we ended up yelling at each other. He said I'm trying to control him, and I said he's acting like a stranger. He pushed past me to get back inside, slammed the balcony door so hard it rattled the glass, yelled that he can't just run away every time things get hard, and he said, maybe I should try it sometime. After that, he disappeared into the guest room with his phone and didn't come out all night. I heard him talking to someone, but I honestly didn't have the energy to listen. I just sat in my room staring at the wall, wondering how the hell we got here this morning. He gets up before me, leaves without saying anything. I go to the kitchen and there's no note, no coffee made, nothing. Our daughter is already up watching cartoons on the tablet, eating dry cereal. She asks if daddy's mad at her. I almost lost it. I told her she didn't do anything wrong, but I could tell she didn't believe me. I called my dad again, hoping for IDK a pep talk or something. He just says, maybe Caden needs to process his grief differently and I should give him space. I wanted to scream. I said, what about my grief? What about our kid? He just kind of sighed and said, maybe I should come visit, but then admits his wife isn't comfortable with all the drama. I said, thanks, and hung up, honestly useless around noon. I get a text from Caden that just says, I'll be late, Silvio. No explanation, not even a question about our daughter. I reply, are you picking her up or not? He leaves me on red again for an hour, then finally says, your problem today, I can't do everything. I almost threw my phone, so I just handled it. Picked her up, made dinner again, leftover pizza, don't judge. Tried to make it a normal night, but she was extra sensitive, kept asking about daddy wouldn't go to bed without her stuffed bunny, which I had to tear apart the couch for. At one point she said she wished grandma was here. I just hugged her and tried not to cry. Caden finally comes home after 9 meals, smells like beer. But not wasted, just tired and annoyed. He looks at me and says, I hope you're happy you got your way. I asked what that even means, and he says, you wanted me gone, I'm gone. But then he sits on the couch. Like he's waiting for me to do something. I just ignored him. Went and cleaned up the kitchen. He follows me and leans against the counter and says, you're obsessed with death, you need to get over it. I told him, you have no idea what this feels like. He said, I lost people too, but I don't drag everyone down with me. I couldn't believe it. I said, are you seriously comparing losing your great uncle who we barely talked to me losing my mom? He just shrugs and says, it's all the same in the end. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just told him to get out of my face. I'm done having this fight. He said, fine, and pushed the chair in so hard it scraped the floor after he left. I called my friend, not even my best friend, just someone I used to hang with before all this, but she was busy and just texted me to hang in there. I ended up scrolling Reddit for hours, reading stories that sound like mine, but also not, because at least in those people seem to have family who actually care. I put my daughter to bed again alone. She asked if daddy was coming to say goodnight, but he was in the guest room with the door locked. I knocked once, said she wanted him, but he just yelled, tell her I love her, I'm busy. I told him this isn't how parenting works, and he just yelled back, I can't talk to you right now, you'll twist it. I went back to my room and I just sat there thinking, is this what it's going to be like now? Just me doing everything with him showing up to criticize or ignore us. I feel like I'm losing my mind, but also weirdly I'm starting to care less about his approval. I'm just tired and mad, and a little bit done with being the only one who seems to give a crap. I don't know what to do next. I thought about calling his mom, but she's even less helpful than my dad, and last time I tried, she just said, boys will be boys, and I should dress up and make a nice dinner. I threw up in my mouth a little just thinking about it. Honestly, I'm starting to get scared for what this is doing to my daughter. She's picking up everything, even if we try to hide it. She's asking too many questions and I don't have any answers. I keep thinking I should just take her and go somewhere, but I have nowhere to go. My dad's place is a no. Caden's family is a nope, and my friends all have their own crap, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Caden's space is just him opting out of being a dad, and I'm supposed to pick up the slack and pretend everything is normal. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. I'm not gonna let him make me feel crazy anymore. But I honestly don't know what the next move is. We'll update if anything changes, but at this point I kind of doubt it. I'm just tired, and so sick of doing this alone. Second update back again because apparently my life can always get more chaotic. And honestly, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to keep pretending this is normal. I know I said I'd update if something changed, but this wasn't what I had in mind. Also, thanks for the DMs and comments. I didn't reply to everyone, but it means a lot. Even if it's just internet strangers, I need it. So it started weird. Like always, Caden's been doing this thing where he leaves his phone face down always, not just sometimes, always. Even when charging, I don't usually care about privacy stuff. I'm not the jealous wife type. But after everything lately, IDK, it just stuck out. And the kicker is, he acts like I'm the one with issues. If I noticed yesterday morning was a mess, I barely slept again, and of course I wake up to my daughter in bed with me asking if she can go to the park. I say, "We'll see." And she immediately asks if Daddy can come too. I say, "Maybe," knowing damn well he won't. Anyway, I get up, walk out to the kitchen, and there's Caden already dressed. Keys in hand, backpack on. I ask where he's going, and he just says, "Sillios, I told you." But he didn't tell me. Not that it even matters anymore, but the way he said it so automatic, like he's practiced it. He leaves without another word, doesn't even look at our kid. I try to make the day normal. Breakfast, cartoons, the usual. I call my dad thinking maybe he'll finally step up and say something useful, but he's still in Florida with his wife's family and basically says, "Just hang in there, maybe plan a trip. Get some air, right?" Like I can do that with zero money and a kid who won't sleep unless I'm in the room. So in the afternoon, I get a text from Silvio's wife, Bernice. I mentioned her before she had the heart emoji next to her name in Cadence's phone. Which, yeah, weird. But whatever, she's always been kind of flirty in a harmless way. She asks if I can recommend a good pizza place for their son's birthday. Normal, but something just feels off, so I ask, "Is Caden there?" She replies, "No, why would he be?" I literally just stare at my phone for a full minute. I ask if Silvio's around, and she says he's at work, but she'll tell him I said hi, so that's it. I know Caden's not at Silvio's. I try to text him, no answer. I call, it rings and rings, then goes to voicemail. I leave a message asking if he's okay, and then just wait. I'm not proud of it, but I started checking his location on Life 360. We originally got it when our daughter was born, just in case of emergencies, and I completely forgot it was still active on both our phones. He was across town, not moving, at some random address I didn't recognize. I let it go for an hour, then two. Eventually, I get a text from him. "Don't wait up, need space." That's it. No explanation. I almost laughed because at this point the pattern is so predictable, but I'm done pretending it's fine. Done being the one who lets everything slide. And this next part might be the most awkward I've ever felt as a grown adult. I decided to call Silvio directly, just to ask, because I'm exhausted from second-guessing everything. He picked up sounding half asleep and I said, "Sorry for the weird question, but is Caden with you?" He was confused. No," I told him. He said he was. Silence. Then he goes, "We haven't hung out in weeks. What's going on?" I heard Bernice in the background asking if everything was okay. I just mumbled, "Yeah, never mind. Sorry to bother you," and hung up. My hands were shaking. I know it sounds ridiculous, but they really were. I sat there thinking about all the times I let him make me feel like I was the unstable one. Like I was imagining things. Maybe I was sometimes. But this was real. He got home after dark. Didn't say a word. Just went straight to the guest room. I followed him. I wasn't calm. I just asked, "Where were you?" He brushed me off. Accused me of being paranoid. Said I always make everything about me. I told him I called Silvio, so if he wanted to keep lying, go ahead. But I already knew the truth. That's when he got angry. Stood up so fast the chair flipped. Pushed past me into the hallway and said I was crossing lines and involving other people and embarrassing him. I said, "You embarrassed yourself." "I just want the truth." He stormed into the bathroom and slammed the door so hard the handle dented the wall. I knocked, told him I wasn't leaving until he talked to me. He opened the door, arms crossed, and said I needed help. Said I was unstable and obsessed with controlling him. I told him I'm not letting him take this out on me or our daughter anymore. He laughed. Said maybe he should just go stay with his mom since I clearly don't want him here. I said, "Go ahead, if it means you'll finally be honest. But you're not taking our daughter." He shot back, "I have just as much right. You don't get to decide that." I told him, "Try it, and we'll have a real problem." He got in my face, way too close. I didn't back down. I told him, "If you need space, take it, but don't threaten me." He stormed out again, slamming the front door. I went after him, saw him in the hallway, and of course, a neighbor popped out, giving us both the look. I just pulled the door closed, locked it, and texted him, "If you want to come back, talk to me like an adult." No reply. I called my dad again. Yeah, I was desperate. He said maybe I should come stay with him, but then added that his wife isn't comfortable with all the drama. I said, "Wow, thanks. Really helpful." I texted a couple of friends. No one responded. It was late, and let's be honest, people are probably tired of my drama too. So it was just me and my daughter. She woke up crying from a bad dream. Said she was scared Daddy was leaving and not coming back. I held her and told her I'm not going anywhere. I barely slept. The next morning, I got a text from Caden's mom. She doesn't usually get involved, but apparently he called her late last night. She didn't say what he told her, just asked if everything was okay and if I needed anything. I didn't know what to say. Just replied, "It's complicated. Thanks for checking in." The whole day was weird. Caden didn't come home. I tried to keep things normal for our daughter, but she was quiet, not her usual self. I took her out for ice cream just to give us something different. I texted Caden to let him know. No reply. Later that evening, he finally texted back, "You made this worse. Now my family's involved. Hope you're happy." I stared at the message for a while, then replied, "You involved them by lying and disappearing, not me." He left me on read. That night, there was a knock at the door. It was Caden's mom and his sister. They looked uncomfortable and were holding a tray of cookies. Why is it always cookies? I let them in and said, "You're welcome to sit, but I'm not in the mood for a big conversation." They sat with us. Offered a cookie to my daughter. She took it but stayed curled up next to me. Caden's mom said, "Maybe everyone just needs to cool off. It's not the best time to make big decisions while you're grieving." I nearly laughed. I said, "I'm not making any decisions. I just want honesty and a partner who shows up." Caden walked in about an hour later. He saw his mom and sister and looked at me like I'd betrayed him. He said, "So this is what we're doing now? Ganging up on me?" I said, "No, but I'm done letting you gaslight me." He tried to flip it, said I was unstable, that he was worried about our daughter. I stood up. "If you're so worried, then be present." He tried to talk over me, but I didn't let him. His sister stepped in, clearly just wanting the drama to stop. Then he said it. "Maybe I should take our daughter to my mom's for a while. Give you space to sort yourself out." I said, "Absolutely not. You don't get to take her just because you're uncomfortable with your own mess." He tried to pick her up anyway. I blocked him, told him to put her down and talk to me like an adult. He tugged on her arm and I grabbed his, stood between them. He looked to his mom like I was being the crazy one. She just shook her head and told him to stop. Finally, he let go and stormed off to the guest room. His mom sighed, apologized, and they both left. Now it's just me, sitting here next to a tray of cookies no one even wants. My daughter's asleep, and I'm thinking about how I've spent months letting him convince me I was the unstable one. But I'm not. I'm done pretending any of this is normal. He doesn't get to opt out of being a husband or a father and blame me for noticing. I don't know what's next, but I do know this. I'm not backing down. If he wants to leave, he can. But I'm not going to let him twist the truth or take my daughter because he can't face who he's become. If anything big happens, I'll update. But for now, I'm just focused on protecting my kid. I'm tired, but I'm not broken. Whatever. I honestly didn't even care at that point. But then things took a turn for the surreal. Caden's mom and sister showed up again, but this time they brought actual groceries. A bag of apples, a rotisserie chicken, juice boxes, and, bizarrely, a whole head of cabbage. Stephanie, his sister, was being overly sweet, way more than usual. She kept calling me hun and sweetie, which she never does. My daughter was happy to see them at least, but I could tell even she felt the tension. They parked themselves at my kitchen table and started speaking in low voices like they were planning something. Caden's mom goes, "We just want to help. Maybe smooth things over." I asked, "What does that even mean?" She says, "Well, maybe we can all sit down as a family and talk. And maybe you should take some time for yourself. Let us watch your daughter for the weekend. Give you a break." The way she said break felt like a trap. I kept my voice polite but firm. "I'm not comfortable with that right now. I want my daughter here with me." Stephanie nodded, but I saw her texting under the table, probably updating Caden on my attitude. I asked, "Did Caden put you up to this?" His mom said, "He's just concerned. He told us you've been struggling." I wanted to scream. "Yeah, I'm struggling. My mom died, and my husband disappears whenever things get hard." They exchanged that look, like I was the problem. Then, as if on cue, Caden walked in. Which, by the way, never happens when his family's around. He sees them and immediately jumps into the whole, "I'm trying to help, but you make it impossible" speech. I told him, if you actually wanted to help, you'd start by being honest and parenting, instead of pushing all the responsibility onto me, or now, onto your family. He snapped back, "I'm just trying to protect our daughter from your moods like I'm some monster." I was shaking with anger. I said, "You're not taking her. Don't even try that unstable mother narrative on me." Stephanie said, "Maybe we all just need to calm down." I replied, "No, I'm done being calm. If you want to talk, let's talk. But I'm not handing over my child so you can feel more comfortable. Caden slammed his hand on the table. Our daughter flinched and started crying. I picked her up and walked out of the room. Stephanie followed, whispering, "Don't worry. Daddy's just upset." I told her not to minimize what was happening. "You don't know what it's like," I said. She tried to hug me and I stepped away. A while later, I overheard them talking in the next room, and they were actually discussing staging an intervention, using those exact words. So I walked back in and said, "I'm right here. You can talk to me, not around me." Caden's mom said, "We just think you should talk to someone. Maybe take some time away from your daughter to focus on yourself." I replied, "No. I'd like you to leave now." Caden tried to block the door, told me I was being unreasonable. I pushed past him, opened the door, and said to both of them, "Come back when you're ready to talk to me like a person. Not a problem." Stephanie said, "We're just worried." And I said, "Then worry about your brother, not me." I shut and locked the door. My daughter clung to me the rest of the afternoon, even while I made lunch. I let her. Honestly, I kept thinking, if this is the cost of finally standing up for myself, so be it. Caden spent the rest of the day sulking. Didn't speak to me. At one point, he muttered, "Keep acting like this and I'll call a lawyer for custody." I laughed, instantly regretted it because that just made him angrier. I said, "Good luck explaining to a judge why you ran off and left your grieving wife alone with a 4-year-old. He just glared and disappeared into the guest room again. I texted my dad, just hoping for something helpful. He replied, "Sorry, I can't get involved." Classic. Later, Caden's mom texted me to apologize for overstepping, but added that she still thought I needed to take care of myself. I didn't reply. Because let's be honest, this isn't about concern. It's about keeping the neighbors from talking, which, by the way, they are. Polly from across the hall asked if everything was okay. I just said, "Rough week." She gave me the kind of nod that says she's heard worse. And now here's the "what do I do next" part. Caden came to me late last night after our daughter was asleep. He was acting all calm and logical, said, "You're clearly not happy. I'm not happy. Maybe we should separate for a while." I said, "Fine, but I'm not leaving this apartment, and I'm not letting you take our daughter." He said, "That's not fair." I replied, "Neither is anything you've done." He started yelling, and I told him if he wakes her up, I will call the police. I don't care who hears. He slammed the door so hard I swear the walls shook. But not before saying, "You'll regret this." And the thing is, I am scared. Not like I think he'll hurt us physically, but scared of what comes next. What happens when I stop playing along? Will he really try to take her? Will his family keep showing up? Will my daughter remember this as the year her family shattered? Last night I started making a list, because I can't keep living in limbo. This morning, I called the building manager about changing the locks. They said I need his signature or a court order. Of course. I also looked up family mediation services, not because I want reconciliation, because I want documentation. Because the truth is, I'm done being scared and silent. Trail, if I need it. I even called a therapist, left a voicemail, because I guess Caden's family is right about one thing. I do need help. Just not the kind they want tonight. I let my daughter pick dinner. Chicken nuggets and apples, obviously. And we watched a movie together on the couch. At one point, she asked if Daddy was coming home, and I said, "Maybe later, but for now it's just us." She seemed okay with it. Caden is still here. Technically, he went out after dinner, said he needed fresh air, but I heard him. On the phone in the hallway talking to his mom about next steps. I didn't eavesdrop, but I know this isn't over. He came back, didn't say anything to me, just went straight to the guest room. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. I just know I'm not giving up my home or my daughter, and I'm not letting him or his family tell me who I am or what I need. So that's it for now. I'm not going to pretend I have some wise lesson or big inspirational takeaway. It just is what it is. I'll keep updating if anything huge happens, but I think I need to focus on just surviving for a bit. Thanks for reading. Seriously. If anyone's been through something like this and made it out the other side, I'd love to hear how you did it. Or just tell me I'm not crazy for finally fighting back. I really need to hear it tonight. Final update first. Weird thing, after Caden's family left that day, he was totally silent, like not just normal sulking, but full radio silence, no calls, not even those one-word texts about our daughter. I let it go for a day, then 2. I started feeling weird, like maybe he was actually going to try something. IDK 3 days in. I get a message from Caden, but it's not even to me. It's a group chat with his mom, his sister, and me. He says, Since Polly refuses to cooperate, I'll be picking up our daughter for the weekend. I've already made arrangements like just that as if I don't exist, except as an obstacle. His mom immediately texts, "We can help," and Stephanie sends a thumbs up. I didn't even answer for a while because I was so mad, like I'm not an event for you all to plan around. So anyway, I text Cadence separately and say, "If you want to see your kid, you set it up with me, not a group chat." He writes back, "I'm tired of your drama. I'll be there at 9 a.m. Saturday." Fast forward to Saturday, 8:50 a.m. I'm already bracing for a fight, but he shows up with his mom and Stephanie all acting like it's a party. He tries to walk right in. I stand in the doorway and say, "Slow down, you're not just taking her for the whole weekend without a plan." He gets all huffy, starts accusing me of trying to keep his daughter from him. His mom is behind him talking about family unity. I tell them, "You don't get to show up," and bulldoze me out of the way. I said, "You want to spend time with her? Fine. But we are agreeing on times and details, and you're not just steamrolling over me." Cadence starts raising his voice, says, "I'm making things difficult. I'm unstable. Blah, blah." Stephanie tries to stand between us. I tell her to move because I'm not having this argument in front of my kid. Finally, he tries to push past me, like physically push, and I just step right in front, hand on the frame, not moving. I said, "Stop, you're not coming in unless you calm down and talk to me like a human." My daughter's behind me clutching her stuffed bunny, and I can tell she's scared. His mom starts saying I'm overreacting, that I should just let things run their course. I lost it a little, not going to lie. I said, "This is my house. You don't get to come in and take over just because you're uncomfortable with my boundaries." I told Caden, "If you try to push past me again, I'll call the landlord and let the neighbors handle it." He finally steps back, all red-faced, muttering about how I'm unbelievable. At that point, I told him, "I'm happy to let you take her to the park for a few hours, but you're not taking her for the weekend until we have an actual agreement." I literally stood there, blocking the door, and waited for him to say something. His mom tried again to guilt me, but I just shook my head. Finally, Cadence says, "Fine. We'll go to the park. We'll be back by 3 p.m. I said, "Okay," and handed him a packed bag with snacks, wipes, her water bottle, and the bunny because I know he'd forget they left, and I swear I just sat on the couch shaking for 10 minutes. I almost cried, but then I started cleaning the kitchen. Instead, my phone was blowing up with texts from his mom about how hard. "This is for everyone. I put it on silent and just let it go. They brought her back right at 3 UI. She was tired, a little clingy, but fine." Caden tried to act all casual like nothing happened, but I just said, "Thanks, see you next time." He started to say something, but I shut the door and locked it. I could hear them in the hallway for a bit, but I didn't care after that. It was weirdly quiet. Caden stopped coming by so much, just texting for short visits. He tried twice to argue about custody, but I just repeated, "Put it in writing or go talk to someone who actually cares." I started keeping a notebook with all the stuff he said just in case. Thanks to everyone who suggested that. Seriously, lifesaver. His family backed off too. Eventually, I think they realized I wasn't going to roll over. Stephanie texted me once asking if we could all reset and just focus on the kid, but I told her that's all I ever wanted. She left me on red. Caden still shows up, but only when it's his turn. We don't talk much, just the basics. He tried one more time to guilt me into taking him back, but I said, "You had your chance. I meant it. Thanks for reading. If you made it this far, you guys made me feel less alone in this fire. If you ever need permission to put your foot down and say no more, consider this it." Signing off for real, this